And I don't need to go through the list of the decisions that he made because people that are watching this are probably aware. But if you're not, for example, 1, he punted on 4th and 1 and then got up on the podium in front of God and everybody and said, well, we would have gone for it if it was 4th and inches, but it was 4th and 1. What? I don't know if he's playing ignorant. I don't know if it's just a man who's comfortable with his guaranteed money or if he thinks we're utter buffoons.
We're just now at the halfway point in the season, and somehow, someway, Jimbo Fisher screwed all of it up. Sorry. Matt, lock it. Okay, I'm sorry. Just when I thought the Jimbo Fisher experience could get any worse, somehow, some way, it does. And the sad part about this is I shouldn't be shocked. I shouldn't be laughing because we should be expecting this by now. I don't know. For me, at least, you just like to assume that maybe one day Jimbo Fisher could live up to the hype, but guess not. I like to refer to him as a clown and a fraud, but others call him a goofball. Whatever word you want to use, it can apply. It's really mind-blowing to me, at least, that a head coach, a college football head coach, could mess this up this bad. And I hate to sit up here and say, man, I can't believe this happened, but just let me show you this to give you some perspective. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm referring to the end of the Alabama-Texas A&M game. Before we get to the very end, let me also share this with you. It was 4th and 1, and Jimbo Fisher decided to punt the ball. As an Alabama fan, I'll tell you straight up, I was happy he punted the ball because I thought it was a terrible choice because I thought they would have got it. And even if you didn't get it, I felt like you should have went for it, but okay, give you the benefit of the doubt there. And what's even funnier about that is after the game, somebody asked him about it, and you know what Jimbo Fisher had the nerve to say? Oh, well, if it was 4th and inches, we would have went for it, but since it was 4th and 1, no, we weren't going for it. Like, what? So you go for it on 4th and inches, but what's the difference? So you mean to tell me, Jimbo Fisher, you're extremely confident in your team to get 6 inches, but you're not confident in your team to get 12 inches? What is that about? But whatever, right? I gave him the benefit of the doubt on that. Continuing along here, though, at the end of the game, when A&M is down by 9 points, so theoretically speaking, they need 2 scores, Jimbo's time management was awful. They're on the goal line. He's letting all the time in the world run off the clock. And then at the end, you burn a timeout to kick a field goal? Here's my thinking on that. Number 1, you should have kicked that field goal as soon as you got into the red zone so you didn't waste any time and you could do the onside kick and still have a chance to get the ball back. Or if you're thinking like he kind of was, hey, we need a touchdown here. Well, you don't need to let the clock run down to under 10 seconds on the play. You need to hurry up a little bit, and they weren't. Zach right here stated, one of the worst late-game coaching jobs I've seen in a long time. Chris stated, and I agree with this, we're all collectively laughing, Jimbo always going to Jimbo. But let's say we give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's throw the late-game decisions, the terrible decision at that. Let's throw it to the side. As far as it goes for the game itself, and I said this, it's the same thing with Ole Miss, the same thing with all the teams earlier in this season. If you can't get Alabama right now at their lowest in 13, 14, 15 years, when are you ever going to get them? A&M arguably had the better overall team in this game. It's at home, and they still lost. If you can't get this Alabama team, I hate to inform you A&M fans and Jimbo fans, I don't know if you'll ever get them again. And check out this fun fact. Somebody tagged this to me. I thought it was interesting. Texas A&M had 4 penalties for only 19 yards. That was the fewest total penalty yards in a game versus an FBS team since 2018 and the fewest versus a Power 5 team in over 8 years since 2015. The players did everything they could. They didn't mess up. Only 4 penalties for 19 yards? Yeah, that's amazing. Everything was in your favor. Heck, the refs were even giving you calls at the end of the game. They called a false start in Alabama in back-to-back plays and nobody moved. With all that being said, and I said this leading up to the A&M Alabama game, this was the biggest game of the year for Alabama and A&M. I thought the winner of this game was going to go on to win the SEC West, and the loser of the game, their season, number 1, it's going to be over, which it is, and number 2, I think they might go off the tracks. I thought if Alabama lost this game, they might lose a couple more just because the team's demotivated, and I think the same exact thing is going to happen for Texas A&M. The loser of this game is at an all-time low, and the winner is at an all-time high. You can't make it up. This is one of these games, ladies and gentlemen, where it doesn't just beat you in the previous week, but it can beat you in the following week. And what's really interesting about that is guess who A&M plays this week? Tennessee. I wouldn't be shocked if A&M has their heads down and Tennessee goes out there and just completely destroys them. If you'd have told that A&M football team, the coaching staff, the players, the fan base, everybody associated with them that you're going to hold Alabama to 23 rushing yards, what do you think they would have said? I guarantee you 103% of them would have said, oh yeah, we won this game easily. But no, you lost. And here's the problem with all this, guys, and nobody's even mentioning this. It's already your second loss of the season. The playoff's over for you. Did you have a good enough team and coaching staff to make the playoff in the first place? Not really, at least in my humble opinion. But getting past that, you're sitting at 4-2, and you're in real jeopardy of going, yet again, 8-4. You can't make it up. A&M goes 8-4. That sounds familiar, A&M and 8-4, but you get the point. They go 8-4 every single year, except for last year. They didn't even make a bowl game. They had that one good year a couple years ago where they still lost to Alabama, and pretty much outside that, 8-4, 9-3. And this year, you're sitting at 4-2. You play Tennessee this week, and you're probably going to lose that game, at least according to the analytics. We'll predict that game later in the week. But then after Tennessee, you got to play a scrappy South Carolina team, and they're not bad at all. They got the better quarterback in the game. And then after that, you got to play the lane train in Ole Miss. You are looking at potentially 3 straight losses in your next 3 games. A&M could be sitting at 4-5 when it's all said and done. After this brutal 3-game stretch, you do have a easier game against Mississippi State. Then you got your easy cupcake Abilene Christian. Then you got LSU. I mean, seriously, I'm asking y'all a question. Are we looking at yet again another? Is this a 6-6, 7-5 season? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. You can make a legit case and argument that A&M would be lucky and fortunate to get to 7 wins. Now that I think about it, yeah, I think A&M will be extremely fortunate to finish the year 7-5 or 8-4. Could they run the table? Yeah, I don't think it'd be the hardest task in the world, but even that loss against Miami, it looks worse considering Miami just lost to Georgia Tech. To me, at least, this year, it felt like the year if A&M had any chance to win the SEC West and potentially make the playoff, this was going to be the year, and they already messed it up. We're just now at the halfway point in the season, and somehow, someway, Jimbo Fisher screwed all of it up. I don't know how he manages to do this every single year, but he does it. You almost got to respect it. You can say a lot of things about Jimbo Fisher, but you can't deny this. He's consistent. You got to look at it from this perspective. When they joined the SEC, they joined the toughest, not just conference, but the toughest division in the entire world. The SEC West is brutal, and this year is the worst year for the SEC West in a very long time. Alabama's down. LSU's way worse than we thought they were. Ole Miss, they don't seem that great. Mississippi State's not that great. Arkansas, they're probably going to lose 7 or 8 games. It was a recipe for success. This was the golden opportunity to get over the hump. With all that being said, I'm going to show you this video clip. I had a couple people sending me on Twitter from, I believe, Miss Casey Smith here. Go shoot her a follow, and yeah, let's check it out. Oh yeah, my bad. To give you some context to this video clip, she is a Texas A&M fan, so we got a good perspective here.
After your team suffers a heartbreaking loss, however it goes down, you have 2 options. Wake up, keep it moving, or think and talk about it all day. Option number 2. What Jimbo Fisher did against Alabama was disgusting. This man gets paid almost $10 million a year to mismanage the game the way that he did. And I don't need to go through the list of the decisions that he made because people that are watching this are probably aware, but if you're not, for example, 1, he punted on 4th and 1 and then got up on the podium in front of God and everybody and said, well, we would have gone for it if it was 4th and inches, but it was 4th and 1. What? I don't know if he's playing ignorant. I don't know if it's just a man who's comfortable with his guaranteed money or if he thinks we're utter buffoons.
That's what I was talking about. He said, oh, yeah, well, you know, if it was 4th and inches, we would have went for it. But since it's 4th and 1, nah, it's a little bit too far. We got to punt the ball. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. The only thing I could come up with is I guess he's confident in Max Johnson getting a quarterback sneak from 6 inches, but a yard's just a little bit too far. But outside of that, I have no idea. And to go to her point where she said, I do like that, where she's like, well, I don't know if this is just a man who's too comfortable. And I think that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Jimbo Fisher calls games and he coaches like he's not scared to lose his job. And he's not. And I can't blame the guy. I almost got to applaud him and respect it. Jimbo Fisher's contract, I believe it's roughly $85 to $90 million in total. Almost 100. $100 million. I'm going to tell y'all this, whether you want to believe it or not, it's true. At the end of the day, who's winning? Us or Jimbo Fisher? It's Fisher. He doesn't really care a lot if A&M loses a game or not because he's got $100 million. Whether A&M wins or loses a game, he's still winning at life. After Alabama beat him on Saturday, he still went home to his multi-million-dollar mansion. I've been saying this. He's the biggest scam artist in the entire world. That's why I call him a fraud. He's scamming A&M for 100 M's. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I'll tell you this much. If somebody told me right now, Matt, we'll give you $100 million, but Alabama has to lose every single football game for the next 8 years, even to Chattanooga State Water Aquarium Community College, all the FCS schools, I'd say, I don't care, give me the $100 million. We'll do my live reaction videos and I'll cry in them and rant to you guys right next to my $100 million. A matter of fact, I might make me a throne and seat just made out of cash. I don't care if Alabama has to lose every single game by 40 plus points the next 20 years. Give me my $100 million. It's the same mindset Jimbo has. He don't care about a football game. At the end of the day, he's got 100 M's. Y'all gotta wake up to reality. It's the same reason when you watch the NFL on Sundays after the games, it could be a hard-fought game, a lot of intensity, final score 41-40, and the players after the games, they're laughing and cutting it up and high-fiving and trading their shirts and whatnot. Does that not strike some of y'all? Have y'all ever sat there and been like, well, dang, why are they so happy after losing a heartbreaking game? Think about it, buddy. You know where I'm going with this? These players don't care about a football game. It's not the biggest thing in their life. They're rich. Who cares if you lose a regular season game in the NFL? At the very end of the day, when it's all said and done, you're winning at life. That's why those NFL players are all laughing and cutting up after the games. We're not going to dive into this, but if you really think about it, we're the real losers. All them guys in the NFL, they're getting paid millions of dollars win or lose, and we're not. A lot of your college football and NFL fans go through mental torture for 3 to 4 hours on Saturday or Sunday, and yet they're not millionaires. I just went on a complete random tangent on that. I do apologize. Let's continue on with this video.
But this is unacceptable. And I've been saying this. A&M has everything in place to be a successful program, except for apparently a head coach. And I had Aggies in my DMs being like, well, we have to be positive publicly. Why? Why? What is it going to take? I do not understand that mentality. And I know there's going to be Bama fans like, well, you said A&M was the better team. Hand up, I thought we were. Jalen Milroe gashed our secondary. The offensive line could not protect Max Johnson. But at the end of the day, Jimbo Fisher is not getting it done. And I know if he ever does, I'm going to have to eat my words. But when is that going to happen? Are we just going to sit back and say, oh, okay, well, another game mismanaged, another game down the drain. This was the most vulnerable Alabama has been in a long time, and he ruined it. Period. Done.
Well, there we have it. Thank you to Miss Casey for that message. Great perspective from a Texas A&M fan. Not gonna lie, I couldn't imagine seriously what A&M fans are going through and have gone through. You got all this money, you got great facilities, you're in prime position to be a blue blood in college football, and you win 8 games per year. It's mind-blowing, really mind-blowing, and it's gotta be frustrating to say the least. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below, but